Okay. Thank you very much, my dear friend, Mark. Okay. What do you see on the screen? Do you see my screen now?
Yeah, I can see the screen. Yeah.
Yes, we can see your screen, Dr. Nazry, but you'll have to
Understand it. Yeah.
I'll get big. So now's better?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you very much again, Mr. Waka, for the kind introduction. We'll be speaking approximately 15 minutes. Please don't stop me because I prepared this. So anyway, today we will talk about the transformation from conventional to modern port. And this is the agenda for today. We'll talk about the introduction, a bit about the Johor port, the ideal transformation plan, the challenges solved, the challenges moving forward, and we are open for Q&A later on. Okay, this is a little bit about Johor Port Berhad. To become a modern port, we have a little bit of inertia because we started operation in 1973. Now it's 2021. It's already almost 48 years now. And we started operation during the first, the second, or the third generation of the port generations, whereby during those days the concentration was more towards the bulk and break bulk area, not too much on the what do you call it, the container operation. The container operation in Johor Port on container terminal only started in the early 1990s, and due to the second, third port generations construction, we have quite an aging facilities, and again we look into that. We started operation in 1973. We let's say a guy start to work at the age of 18 there. By the time he or she retires at the age of 60, it will be in 2016, 2015, just not too long ago, just about 6 years or so, something like that. So during the years, there are ingrained tacit knowledge that have been passed down to the generations of workers there. So if there's a good knowledge, then it's okay. But if there's something that need to be considered, then we need to look into that. And again, Johor Port being a matured port, we will have about 1,000 acres, but is fully maximized now. We have land constraint and we don't have any more for expansions. And to become moving forward, for us to become what we thought an ideal transformation to become a modern port. Many people talk when we talk about a modern port, it's all about the modernization of equipments, the IT integration, the automation, etc. But we have to think of how a traditional port, the Johor Port Berhad here, 55 decades old port, to transform from a traditional to become a modern port. So we look into the three areas actually. The first on the culture, the infrastructure, and then ICT. The culture part, let's go to the first one. We always want our workers to and we are quite successful in this, to transform our workers from a traditional workers to have a workers of a first-class workers mindset. And how we do that? Of course, the easiest way is by recruitment. When we recruit people, we look into the talent, the passion, because passion drives greatness, and passion is contagious. And importantly, also we look into the attitude, because these are the one of the foundations of world-class workforce. People, the positive attitude, are teachable. They are eager to grow and they're eager to be developed, and they can expand the skills and deliver beyond beyond the means. The fourth area is when we look into the aptitude. Yeah, of course, for some jobs, skills are the bottom line. But talent can be trained. But to stay ahead from the game, stay ahead of the game, you need to workforce that is infused with hands-on knowledge, filled with people that are plugged into what's happening now and have the pulse for tomorrow. So there's something that we look for. And of course, the point number 5 is the fortified. A great company and a great leadership never rests. So one of how we fortified our workers is to have them to train them to have the Kaizen mentality. Kaizen is actually what we preach in Johor Port, is is based on the three principles: the muda, the mura, and muri. Muda basically talks about efficiency, to eliminate all types of waste in the pot. There are a lot of wastages in the pot, something like defects, overproduction, waiting, not utilizing man effectively, the transport wastages, inventory, motion, and perhaps excess processing. So Mura on the second hand talks about consistency, how to identify all the irregular things and to improve to achieve consistency. And Muri is talk about simplification. These three things we call as Darari principles, Muda, Mura, Muri, or the Darari principles, adopted from the Japanese principles. Okay, of course, to have a first-class workers mindset, we need to have the safety culture, and like Mr. Kamal Zaman rightly said just now, we have to look into environmental friendly, the green pot, etc. Second part, to transform, to become a modern part, we have to look into the infrastructure. Yes, of course, being a 5-decade-old port, we have old warehouses, which is derived from the bark and brick bark concentrations in the second, third generation ports. And what do we do from there? Either we maintain that or we do something about it. So at Johor Berhad, we decided to bring it down and to revolutionalize the warehouse. Instead of having a horizontal warehouse, we go in vertical to make it taller warehouses with the green features, LCD bulbs, starlights, etc. So that takes care of what they call that the land limitation that we have. And to modernize the equipment, this is something that we also need to look seriously. So, for example, now we are doing to electrify our RTGs to become electronics. That would come very soon. But in terms of modernizing again, we are getting out of the. We already moved from the Panamax size cranes, QC cranes, to move towards the post Panamax and the super Panamax size. And okay, that's one. And for the ICT, there are two things in our ICT. Number one is JPB integration, and number two is the ICT strategy. Let's go with the ICT strategy first. They are, under the MMC ports. They are the we follow the MMC ports strategy. Number one is to have operating excellence and streamlining the business, achieving business growth, the governance, standardizations, and competency team building. And part of it is actually from MMC ports, we go with the RAMCO system that takes care of the HR, the leave management, the payroll, etc. The shared system centralization on the procurement side, on the IT side, and the TOS system standardization. And also the ideal part, that's again, as what Sheikh Kamal Zaman rightly said just now, we to have our the port community system, integrated port community system, whereby the exporter and importer, and also the freight forwarders, the shipping agencies, the port authorities, container depot, everything here is under one system. We have established that in 2017 through the gateway system. Later, I'll show you short snapshots of the system. And this is the challenges that have been solved. The culture with the legacy issue, we have 60-year-old people, ingrained tacit knowledge. We have the establishment of the JP Skill Center to give the explicit knowledge, the structured explicit knowledge to our team. The port wastages, we have established the Lean Academy to preach the whole system and our contractors about how to reduce wastages in the port. We have the succession planning, something like a very successful HR programs like AMDP, Advanced Management Development Program, MDP, Management Development Program, etc. The job management, we certify our programs, we certify our workers, and we created more job grades for people to have more chance for promotions. And for the challenge of infrastructure, lack of land, the modern houses, we bring it down, we bring it taller and higher capacity per square feet. for equipment, we are doing replacement of super cranes, terminal tractors, etc. Again, we are multi-purpose port. There are some challenges there, I shall with you shortly. And for the ICT, the SIDO system, we do have the integration of port communication system. And like what has appeared on the screen, the MTTS, JCTS, PCS, marine management system, the finance management systems all been now integrated. And below there, you saw the PTOS system, Port Terminal Operating System. This is an integration between our subsidiary, Solid Port Terminal, with Petronas. And this is what I mentioned just now. Example number one is the JPBE community, whereby you have the VCS, FZ, JCTS, etc. in just one screen. And this one is example two is the solid product terminal. It's linked to Petronas. Petronas owns 30% of the terminal. So it's linked to the Petronas ERP system, whereby you have everything is visible towards the Petronas system, both planning, container block, etc. All right, this is my last slide. Few things to consider there. Are we going towards a fully automation or semi-automation? JPB container terminal, JPB break bulk terminal. This is for us to think about. I don't want to say yes or no, but this is something that we need to think about. Okay, the first automated container port was developed in Europe in 1990s, and to become what do you call it, an automated, fully automated or semi-automated port, we need to fulfill three conditions. Number one, the physical environment must be structured and predictable. Secondly, the activities are repetitive and straightforward. And thirdly, they have to generate vast amounts of data readily collected and processed. And yeah, that's why you see most of the ports in the world, not most of, 100% of the ports in the world, they automate only on container terminals. But they are unable to do that on the bulk and break bulk terminal because it did not fulfill the three conditions earlier on. And next one, we talk about the impact of Internet of Things and the big data. Again, this is something that we are continuously improving. For example, now all our operators now, operation assistants we call them, have handheld terminals to be able to record on the spot online on what activities has been stopping. I mean, the challenges they have at the website. And again, having said that also, there will be a mass data there. What we want to do with data, to turn the data from raw data to become meaningful data that is being interpreted and can be used for businesses. And of course, now you see the growing size of vessels. Johor Port being we have a length for example for container, we have a 790 meter length, not that big. But the vessels are coming bigger and bigger today. We used to entertain 150, 180, 200, 220. But today, the vessels coming at 250, and we are also entertaining 300 meters long. It's almost half of what we have there. How to address that? There are some challenges that we need to think of. And of course, the next one, the customers' demand is never ending. They are always wanting for more and more. Once we improve, they want more and more and more. But we have to keep on addressing the needs. Next, on the port also, we also need to address the 7 R's of logistics and port, especially how to treat our customers correctly on the 7 R's. Number one is, for example, how to treat the right product, how to treat the right customer, how to treat the right time, how to and address the right place, the right condition, the right quantity, and of course, above all, the customers only care about one thing: what is the right cost of doing business. And of course, today is 2020, 2021. We have 3 generations of people still working in the port, the Gen X, Gen Y, and the Gen Millennium. Gen X, the Gen Millennium, generation Millennium of the Gen Z also started their work life in after, I mean, they were born in the 20s, the year 2000. By now, if they start when they are working, they are already about 20 or 21 years old. And this type of people is, they don't really, they only think about themselves. When they want to come work, it's always my terms, their terms, not the company terms. It's something that the challenge that we need to think forward. Again, like I like to quote again what Kamazaman mentioned just now, how we work towards becoming a green port, and there are some activities that we handle just now. And also we do support the UN, United Nations Strategic Development Goals, SDGs, especially number 11, 13, 14, 15, sustainable cities and communities, climate actions, life below the water, and life in land. And last but not least, we have the community. The pandemic changes a lot of things. And because of that, we really need to think about the community, the discipline, the sustainability, and are we doomed to work from home for the rest of our lives? Okay, I think that's about all that I can take. It's about 50 minutes. Back to you, Mark.